may get in your way, so I'm going to highlight him. You can do one of two things. Again, hit the M key for move him out of the way, or just hit delete and get rid of him for now. Now, the other thing that part of the reason we use the texture, bring it in as a texture rather than as a shape, is we can really change the transparency of this. And the reason that's nice is we're drawing these lines on the background to create our shape. We can see our reference picture, plus we can really see the lines. The way I showed you to do it in the last series of instructions, I didn't do that at that time. You know, each time I try to show another aspect of SketchUp or another way to do something to give you as many options as you can. So let's go up and click on Materials, and we want to click on the little house symbol, which brings in all the colors and symbols that are in our current design we're working on. You may wonder why we have this selection of colors. It's because when we opened up and started, that little fellow was here, and that's the colors that were used for him. But the important thing right now is you'll notice we have the picture of the front of our trailer that we brought in our materials list, which means we can edit and do things with it. So by clicking on it, coming up and clicking on the edit thing, I'm going to go down here where it says opacity for now and slide this across to about, I don't know, 45 say. And you can see how transparent the picture is. Let's close materials, and in fact if I get my select tool again, which I want, so I'm going to click on the space bar. Okay, there it goes. Sometimes it's a little slow. And if I just move this around, you can see how transparent it is, because you can see that horizon line. Alright, so we're ready to start working on actually drawing and creating the pattern for building the rest of our trailer. And in the early 50s trailers, they create the illusion of a rounded shape by using 13 panels, small panels of aluminum, and bending them around the form. Very different from the later trailers where the shape is actually created because the aluminum is formed into a complex curve, which means it's rounded both ways, or maybe slightly dome shaped might be a description. Alright, so let's start. Again, the line tool, or the pencil tool, or you can click L for the line tool. I'm going to come down to the middle, and remember the reason we want the middle, if you bring this over, you notice how the dot changes and that hops into place. And I'm going to click on that one, come over to the first segment, which is essentially right straight across, as you can see here. In fact, I'm going to hit Control Z because that actually went up a little higher than I wanted. So I'm going to come in a little closer so I can place that. See, now here's a case where it really wants to jump to that center place. So I'm going to click once and just come down with a short line to where the trailer is. In this first line there, I can erase later. Alright, so I'm going to come across and right in the middle of the spine here, I'm going to make a click, and now you can see each line as we draw. So I'm just going to come across and click in about the center of these lines. Now we'll work near the top here. Okay, so I'm going to click, come down to the next one, click, down to the next one, now this last segment is ever so slightly slanted, and again it's close to the outside edge, so you might have to work in close. Yeah, see how it wants to jump around too much? So you may have to work in closer so you can really work at positioning that right where you want it. And I didn't get it there. Sometimes you have to kind of convince. See, I can move it even closer now, and it's going to go where I want it. So if it's jumping around and you can't get it, get in close, and that'll really help you get the exact shape that you want. And then I'm going to come on down all the way to the bottom. Now, I could follow the angle of the trailer here, and I'm not going to, because I know in working in my trailer this is actually straight up and down on the early trailers. So I'm going to make sure I have the blue line, which means I'm on the vertical axis, and click. Alright, so now if I turn around the back, it helps us see a little bit better our actual shape and what we're working on. Alright, so I want to draw the line to indicate 1/2 of the shape, and again this is on the blue axis. Bring it down and click, and there is the beginning of our pattern. Once I have that, then we need to use our select tool, and let's just go around and get rid of all these lines that we don't need and we won't be using. And part of why we work with doing half of the trailer as a pattern and continue working that way is because if you make 1/2 of a rounded shape and then duplicate it, which we'll do later, the thing that works out really nice for you is that makes sure that one side of the trailer or the shape of the trailer is exactly like the other shape. If you try to draw both sides, it's very easy to make very small errors which will come back to haunt you later. Now I need to come in here close because remember I wasn't exactly right on the edge of the photo, and get rid of that line. Okay, I did. I think I've got that clean. Now before I go any further, I'm going to click and highlight this and make sure I click enough times that I see the blue outline, and I'm going to make this a component. Remember, the component is a single grouped shape or element that goes into our component window that we can pull down and use over and over again. So let's right click, make component, and I'm going to in mine put 55 FC for flying cloud pattern. You want to make sure that this box is checked, replace section with component, and hit create. Now we're going to create both walls at the same time, the inner and outer shells of our trailer. So we're going to use the tool up here, which is the offset tool. Got to get the face selected. There we go. So, you know, since we made it come on, we need to double click, we need to click again so we get this selected. Okay, and we're going to pull it in, and you see it creates a duplicate of the shape but smaller. Now on our trailers, the thickness between the two shells is 1 5/8. And if you look down here at the measurement box, you'll see we have something different, and that's fine. So what we're going to do is type in the difference we want. So you're going to type 1 space 5/8, shift key, quote marks for inch mark, and we have our measurement. Hit enter, and you'll notice that that jumps to the size we want. So now we know we have a thickness between the two shells that matches the scale that we're after. Alright, the next thing you want to do is we want to complete the inner shell to the center line. So we're going to draw a line here, and then we need to do the same thing down here. You need to draw a line down here, and if you click here, you'll see you're getting different parts highlighted. That means we've got our lines in the right places. And for now we want to delete this line and this line. So we have this part of the pattern that represents the inner shell, outer shell thickness between them. Now let's spin around.